Let's talk about Dilin Jones, a huge part of this big-time 2024 class that Luke Fickell and his recruiting staff are bringing into Madison as we start to break down the individual pieces of that group of talent. Let's go. Dilin Jones, you're up.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers as we start to break down the individual pieces of this recruiting class. We're going to start with Dilin Jones, the big-time running back out of Olney, Maryland. 5'11", 185 pounds. As you can see, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, he's at 4-star across the board. Every recruiting service has him as a 4-star. Rivals, On3, ESPN 247. Big-time offer list. You can see that below as well. But it includes Bama, Michigan, Florida, Florida State, Auburn, and more, right? So one of the things you're going to see as we start to evaluate these players a little more individually is, and I'm going to put up his film as well here. There's a couple things I look at, like where does he win? What does he do? So let's start here. Does the film check the box with Dilin Jones? Yes. You're watching the film if you're watching on YouTube, just electric between the tackles. One of the things I love about Dilin Jones, man, it's very north and south, right? A lot of these high school players, they're such good athletes that they're bouncing it outside whenever they can. Dylan understands north-south. He already has that instinctual feel that a lot of running backs don't have. And then when he hits that gap, if there's a bad run fit or if a defender misses a tackle, he can house it. Like, ball game. He can get you 7. It's incredibly smooth. There's not wasted motion. He's not chopping steps, trying to figure out. He's not out-athleting people. I mean, he is a better athlete than everybody on the field, darn near. But he's also running like a running back. Like, you're not going to have to teach him how to find the hole, how to scrape along the line of scrimmage, how to put his foot in the dirt and get north-south, how to lower the pads. He is such a talented player. And there's a reason his offer list is incredible, right? So, again, the film checks the box. Athletic measurables, do they check the box? Yeah. I mean, 5'11", 6 foot, 190 pounds, cut, very quick, start and stop ability, physical runner, breaks tackles. Again, all of that checks the box. Offer list. Does the offer list check the box? Yeah, he's got a blue chip offer list. Again, you start going through these different metrics that people use to evaluate prospects. Dilin checks every box, right? Every single one of them. There's pro potential here. There's NFL potential here. There's production at the high school level. Multiple years of production at the high school level. You know, a guy we were able to have on the show. We talked to his coach as well. Raved about the maturity of Dilin Jones, his coach. His junior year, he shared the field with another player, never had an issue with it, was a great teammate. You know, just everything that coach said it sounded like the type of kid you would want in your culture, want in your locker room. And then talking to him, like, there's a quiet confidence to him, right? He's humble, but he also knows that he's a total dude. He just comes off really well. So it checks every box here. And again, you're watching on this film here, just the ability to break multiple tackles, doesn't go down with first contact, running out of a shotgun set, you know, with some of that guard tackle pull concept, things that they're going to do in Madison. And he's just untackleable. He's got short area quickness, but he's got power. This is a huge get for the Badgers, one of the biggest of the recruiting class. And this was, if you remember, the third running back they added. So a guy coming in with 2 other running backs in the class, right? What does that say about a player? It says he's not afraid of competition. It says that he's going to come in and, well, it says 2 things, right? It says he's not afraid of competition, but it also says he's very confident that his talent level is at a spot where it doesn't matter who else is there, right? I'm going to go in and I'm going to get reps because I'm a dude. As Ryan Eilers would say, I'm a dog. And he is that. This is a huge part of the class. Playing early, that's something we're going to talk about on all these players. I expect Dilin is a guy who's going to – I'm not going to put that label on anybody, like he's going to play early, but I'm going to say this is a guy who has all the traits that you would look for a running back to come in and play early. And we know the depth chart is at a spot where that would make sense for Wisconsin. So huge get. Again, he checks all the boxes from the recruiting standpoint, the offer list, the film, the athletic measurables, the production. It's all there. This is a blue chip running back. We're going to pause there, and we're going to kick it over to, we did scouting reports on all these guys throughout the season with Brian Smith, John Garcia Jr. So the second part of this video is their thoughts on Dilin Jones as we continue to break down this great class for the Wisconsin Badgers. On Wisconsin, and we'll talk about that prospect next.
The kid that I'm most excited about, unfortunately for me, I will never see live in high school, and that's Dilin. I spoke to somebody recently that played, and they're like, who the hell is this guy? You know, how did Wisconsin get this kid? And I was like, I don't know, but he's going to Wisconsin. He committed early. So they're like, this guy can play for anybody. I'm like, yeah, his film stands out. I knew that when he's a junior. He just got better. But from the person that told me that was important, and this is a kid that his speed and his elusiveness, there's no way I can see him not playing in some capacity as a freshman. And I would say that if he was going to a program that has, like, he could compete at Georgia. He has that kind of talent. This is the kind of guy that you need if you're going to compete with Penn State and Ohio State the way they're recruiting, the way Michigan recruits. This is how you do it. You can grind it out, get guys occasionally hit the home run. That'll change some games, and that's what he can do. I think he is clearly the best player in Wisconsin's 24 class, and he would be the best player in a lot of teams' class. If he was down here in Florida, he'd probably be ranked higher. He's in Maryland, which gets some respect, but there's more scouts down this way. He would probably be ranked higher.
I want to talk a little bit about Dilin, too. Dilin Jones, the running back. You talked effusively about him. You mentioned even before the show, you're like, he looks like a Heisman type. Obviously, just the talent and the impression. Yeah. Like, you're through the roof on Dilin. You're the highest guy I've talked to on Dilin. Everybody likes him. But what about him and what about what you're seeing with him makes you so much higher on him than maybe the industry consensus?
Probably his vision. You can have all the physical traits that you want, but if you don't make good selections with your cutback lanes, how you do it, when you do it, mixing up your moves, when you see it, not giving it away. You want to suck the linebacker into gap A when you're about to bounce at the gap B. There's a lot of cat and mouse with being a running back. And he's the guy that'll run between the tackles. They're going to run a lot of GT, guard, tackle, pull, come around. That's some of the things they did at North Carolina. They're going to run that stuff at Wisconsin in the spread. And when you can get that going with a quarterback, like you've seen some highlight, I watched quite a bit of the Purdue-Wisconsin game. That was hilarious, by the way. Purdue's defense that day, that was bad. Wisconsin shredded them. But when you get a quarterback going and you get any running game at all, you can beat teams. If you add a guy like Dilin where they miss a run gap fit, that strike up the band. Mm-hmm. He's different. Wisconsin doesn't get kids like that very often. They usually develop some, but like he's a right now freshman I can play guy, assuming he picks up the playbook. It's that simple. Like he's going to have teams come after him these next few months. There'll be something about that you and I talk about between now and signing. I guarantee it. And that's a good sign. I know Wisconsin fans don't want to hear it, but that's a good sign. You're not winning big unless you have guys coming after your recruits.
Right. It's like if you don't have valuable assets, people aren't going to come snooping around, right? If your store doesn't have the best merchandise, whatever analogy you want to use, like the best players are going to attract the best recruiters. So I think that's a good thing. I think that's where Wisconsin wants to be.